For the record, I'm Kevin. Good morning. For the record, I'm Kevin Kuster, Vice Chair of the Sign Advisory Council. Members, if I could please get an aye when I call your name to see if you're here. Paul Wolf.
Aye.
Mark Doan.
Aye.
Billy Saad.
Here.
I think that's it for today. We do have a quorum. This open meeting of the SAC is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020. That order, posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to convene remotely so long as public access to deliberations is reasonably provided. This meeting is convening via Zoom and audio recording, and we are being broadcast on the YouTube Towns channel. Do we have anybody from the public today? I don't see any, but we will feature public comment. Materials provided to members for the meeting are provided during the meeting are, unless otherwise noted, available on the town's website. During the meeting, I'll introduce the agenda topics and speakers. Please remember to mute your Zoom audio until your name is called, and direct comments through the chair. Lastly, votes will be conducted by roll call. Okay, so can we have I'll call the meeting to order at 9:04. Can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Paul. Oh, thank you, Mark. Second. Paul.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Paul.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
And I'm in favor as well. Okay, on to the agenda. Are there any public comments? I don't see anybody else gotten on. Are there? Let's see. I guess we don't. There we go. Do we have any commissioner comments? Nope. On to the first item is 5 Macy's Lane wall sign. This is for the former salt box.
Hi, this is Caitlin from Sign Here Nantucket. I'll be representing for them.
Oh, hi, great. I didn't see you around. Sorry.
Okay. So there are 2 signs for this application. I'm not sure if you want me to go over both or pick one. Let me know.
I think you can go over both at the same time. We'll vote on them separately because they're both listed separately.
Okay, perfect. So it looks like the first one you guys have up here is the one in the parking lot. We did submit an updated application. I think this might be an old picture that we're looking at here. So the first slide we can start with is number 9. I did go to the Plus office and look for an application for AK Diamonds, and I was not able to find one. The closest thing I could find is an application from the Salt Box. And in that application was a picture where there were faded cedar planks, which indicated that there was a sign there. I'm not sure what sign was there. I'm not sure what size it was, but the sign we're applying for is in that same location. So what I did compared to the last application is shrink the size down a little bit. And on slide 11, I showed a diagram of the square footage. I'm not a mathematician, but from what you can see in this diagram that the beige space is about 9.9 square feet. And then the black without the arch is 5.8 square feet. So you can kind of get a sense of what it would be based on those 2 spaces. And the top of the sign from the arch to the bottom of the sign is 24 inches, and then it's 60 inches long. So that would be going in the same spot where the faded cedar plank was on slide number 9. So that's the first sign.
Okay.
And I was also, Myra mentioned the business owner that they would not plan to use the menu boxes that are there currently. I know that was a comment from the last meeting, so I would just like to address that now. So for the next sign,
We were going to get rid of.
sorry, it's a street view sign on the same building. I think that's from the old application as well, but basically what we did from the old application is we shrunk the size down a little bit because there was some concerns about the size. And I did find out from Myra that the entrance there is a public entrance that they're using.
Yeah.
So, that's important to note. And then from end to end of that entrance is 90 inches long, just for scaling purposes. So the sign that we're applying for is 96 inches long. So it's a little bit longer than the entryway, but I think proportionately it makes sense because the space is so big. Originally in, I'm not sure if we can pull up yeah, I think that's the old application. Yeah, that's the old application. So I did the same thing basically in the new application that I did in the previous sign. I made a diagram of the square footage. Yeah, right here. Well, that's the old one. That is the one in the parking lot.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm not sure where the information is on the new one, but can you work between the two, the updated slide and the new dimensions to maybe explain it to them?
Sure, if they think that they can get a sense of it, I can definitely do that. I just want to make sure that the information is the visuals. So I did shrink the size down. It's 96 inches by 39 inches tall, but like from the arch, which is different from the original one we submitted. So from the top of the arch to the bottom is 39 inches, but from the rectangle space itself is 23 inches. And the square footage is somewhere around 15.3 square footage. I did a similar diagram. I'm not a mathematician, so I don't know the exact detail, but I did a similar diagram where a 39 by 96 inch sign is 25.9 square feet. But just considering you'd have to subtract the arch space from there, and the rectangle space is about 15.3. So I'm not sure if there are any more questions around that, but they do plan to keep the awning there at this time. They don't plan on changing it, obviously removing the tattered pieces, but in terms of the awning that's there, they plan to keep it for now.
Okay. Do we have any questions, comments?
I'll go if that's all right. I don't think I have an issue with the sign on the parking lot side. I think it's actually smaller than previous signs we've seen in that location. The photos we've reviewed do indicate what appears to be a freestanding menu box to the right, and I know that the representative has said that they will not be using that, but I actually, not only do I hope they're not using it, but it's also removed. I don't think that we ever approved a freestanding menu box in that location. So I would be inclined to make that a contingency on this approval, or at least should be written in. Comments on the front side, I don't think, well, I'm pretty confident. We've never had a sign in the gable. The signage for that business, while I agree that they should have a sign on that face, and that is an entry point, there is history for access across that lawn to that entry for crowds coming from the airport and from the hotel, from my recollection. However, it's always been a sign, either it was on the awning itself, or maybe even at the door itself. It's not been above. All that said, this building and the business, as we know, is no longer on the second floor. We typically, when we allow for signage on second floors, require such that they occupy both floors. In this case, they don't. That's been converted to residences. So they really only occupy the lower level. I'm a little torn because I think the building scale does support that sign. It certainly is more readily, you can read it better from the street, of course, than you would any of the signs previously for the lower elevation. But our guidelines that is contrary to our guidelines, where we don't typically permit second story signs when the business does not occupy the second floor. And we've had recent applications in town where we've had that discussion. So purely from an aesthetic, I don't know that I'm challenged by it, but by our guidelines, it's in contrast. So I'm a little torn on that, and would probably follow suit with my fellow commissioners in their thoughts on the application. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Paul?
I pretty much agree with everything Mark said. I'm inclined to consider an exception in this case because it's quite a distance back from the road. Not visible. Well, the smaller signs would not really be very visible. I'd also qualify that by saying previous occupants of the building have had a lot of unacceptable signs out on the lawn, which we'd have to get assurances would not be repeated. Sandwich boards and the like. So I guess I could live with it as an exception if necessary.
Yeah, if I may add, Kevin,
Sure.
I think Paul makes a good point. I was going to mention that as well. That I think at least maybe the last two tenants of that space did sort of clutter up that lawn with front signage, sandwich boards and the like to get traffic across. If we did permit this sign, and they are guidelines, we do have the option to make recommendations to HDC where we think there might be appropriateness for certain applications. I almost, from an aesthetic, would rather see it occupy the gable than to be somehow reduced and put at the first story, whether that's on an awning or on the building. But this is kind of an odd way to put it, but I feel like the sins of the previous tenants shouldn't support this sign necessarily, but I would strongly, if approved, say that we would need to take action should those signs reappear from previous tenants of that space. We would, making an exception to provide a gable mounted sign would be in light of not having that front lawn cluttered with additional signage and so on. So that doesn't mean if this board chooses to make a recommendation to have a first story sign only, that opens the door for any signage. We don't want to see that signage either way, but thanks, Kevin. That's all my comments.
Yeah, I agree with what both of you have said, and I do also agree that the menu board should be taken away if it's no longer functioning and not part of this approval. I tend to think that I agree with Mark's explanation of our normal process on this. However, I'm reminded in this case a little bit of Keepers, where it's kind of a similar thing in a way, and I think that given the scale of the building, given the fact that there's nobody on the second floor, given the fact that there's been a tremendous amount of, confusion or people not being able to find it, I think that I would be in favor of having this application. I've got one little question. I'm assuming, because I haven't seen anything different, but is this black and white?
Yes.
Something?
Yes, it's black and like a off-white, so it's not stark white, but it's a little bit of a off-white. So yeah.
Any other comments? I think we can vote on them both at the same time, or take a.
Can I make a quick suggestion?
Sure.
Seeing as I didn't have the proper information for sign 2, put in your recommendation that the updated sign schematic be included in the application that's stamped.
Yes.
And then in terms of cleaning up the site, I do think you could put a time limit on that. So say within 30 days of the stamped approval that all unapproved signs be removed from the site.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. Thank you, Billy. Anybody like to put a motion together?
Can I make a comment?
Oh, sure, certainly.
So thank you for the feedback. I also just wanted to add as well, because there weren't the pictures in it, that the from the street view, there's a tree in that lot as well. And so it does kind of cover that triangle archway a bit. So the sign isn't as visible as it appears in the photo that we were all looking at. And then in addition to that, I think part of the reason in the past there hasn't been a sign there, again, I wasn't able to find any original applications, but there was a window in that triangle piece as well. So they removed that window for this application as well. So just two notes there.
Great, thank you.
I'll take a stab. So I'd make a motion to approve both signs, one located at the parking entrance and one facing onto Old South Road, as applied for. Materials and graphics to support the Old South Road sign should be submitted with this application. And any cleanup as discussed with respect to freestanding menu boards or any additional signage that is unapproved at this time should be removed within a period of 30 days from the stamped approval for this application.
All right, thank you, Mark.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Paul. All those in favor, Paul?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And I'm in favor as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next one, Barbara Lewis at 130 Pleasant.
That is also me.
Okay.
So for this application, I actually went to the Plus building as well to look for the petrichor application, and I could not find that at all either. So the best that I have in terms of sizing is the faded cedar planks there. So our plan for this new sign is to kind of fill in those faded cedar planks, which are around 18 by, well, our sign is going to be 24 by 96, but similar to the other sign, the rectangle piece is 18 tall, and then to the top of the arch is 24 inches. So it's a little bit less than 16 square feet because of the similar thing where the arch goes above. And so in terms of the other sign applications in this location, the only things I could find were Pazzo and Atlas, and they're in different shape than this sign, but you can see that they both use that red. So we're planning on using stop sign red, white, and black.
Okay, thank you. Comments, Paul?
I really don't have any comments. Thank you.
Mark?
Yeah, I reviewed this in the view pack. It does seem very oddly consistent with previous signs in the same location. I don't think I have any concerns. Was there lighting information included in the application? I know there's wiring for such above the sign.
I'm not sure about the lighting. I don't believe there will be lighting, but if there is, it would be consistent with the rule book under the lumen amount.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I have any additional comments given sign locations and scale from previous tenants.
Okay, I agree with both of my fellow commissioners. Is there a motion to approve as submitted?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve as submitted, just adding that if a light is installed, given this will most likely be an evening establishment, that it should comply with the guidelines. And it's with a downward light and complying lumen level.
Great.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Paul. All those in favor, Paul?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
I'm in favor as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other business, Billy, that?
No, and so I think I missed an application. So we've been short many employees in here over the last couple weeks, and I'm just trying to keep it afloat, keep us moving forward. So if my thought is we'll set up another meeting for next Tuesday. I'm not sure if we'll be fully staffed by then. I'll run it, but we'll get back on the regular meeting schedule because everyone went out right when we missed the last meeting. It didn't get posted in time, and I wasn't aware, I kind of got pulled in at that point in time. So I'm juggling, a little bit of HDC duties along with ZBA and planning board right now. So it's a bit of a juggling act.
Billy, I heard, I think they want you in a plow this afternoon too. To do
Yeah,
some-
possibly. I mean, if we actually see snow.
Well, it's good to see you.
good to see all you guys too.
Yeah.
So I will, I'll make sure that these recommendations go up to the HDC tonight, but we are, we're all good here.
I think there, Billy, I'm not sure, perhaps this one got dropped on this agenda, or I don't know if it was removed or what, but there was an application in our previous meeting for a freestanding sign at the Athenaeum.
That's it. I saw, so after I kind of threw the agenda together last week, and when I was looking over stuff yesterday, I saw that and I kind of was like, oh, I missed that one. So I figure if we have it next week, they just gotta wait 7 days.
Yeah.
There might be snow on the ground between now and then, so nothing's happening.
We were waiting, or we had asked, I believe, at the last meeting, correct me if I got this wrong, guys, but the applicant was under the impression, or she believed that what was discussed during our commentary, that qualified as minutes. I think we have been under the understanding that our minutes are what we approve when they're all summarized up.
Okay.
And I think we were just looking for some clarification as to whether or not our verbal discussion and our taped recording constituted minutes or not.
Oh, I mean, it can be used, I think, to, for conversation purposes, but there are, we're required to have written minutes, even if they're sort of a vague overview of the meeting. They're not meant to be sort of verbatim of what goes on at a meeting. So that's where you kind of go to the tape if you're looking to get word for word.
Okay, I think that's our understanding too.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other comments or questions?
I have a question, Kevin. Has any progress been made? Do we know if any progress has been made on the status of the procedure for enforcement?
That I don't know. I mean, I'm the Band-Aid right now on a remove limb. So
Okay.
I wish I could give you more information, but I mean, I'm just kind of standing in at the moment.
Yeah, I do believe, Paul, that Chris has been trying to get some conversation started, and it is, has not given up on on what we've talked about,
Okay.
but is trying to work something out. So I think he'll probably have more of an update for us next week. The only fortunate thing I think is that we are in the middle of winter here, so hopefully we can get it figured out by spring, because otherwise it's going to be a free for all, I'm afraid.
Right.
Yeah, and I'd imagine that involves some sort of conversation with the HDC chair, vice chair. So
yeah,
I'm not sure where that stands.
So, okay. Anything else? Otherwise, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Yeah, second.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mark. All those in favor, Mark?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm in favor as well.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Kevin.
much. Nice
Thank
to
you.
see you, Billy.
Good to
Bye-bye.
see you guys too. Have a good day.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Thanks.